Hey everyone, this is Brandon Beller with Freedom Enneagram Coaching. If you're new to Freedom Enneagram or to the Enneagram itself, I'd invite you to go check out the Season 1 playlist. Or if you're just coming into Season 2, you might want to go back to Episode 17, which is Season 2, Episode 1, and see where we're starting this time around. If you're more of an audio person, or you just want to hear this content again and in another way, you can find the Freedom Enneagram podcast anywhere you get podcasts. And finally, I would so appreciate it if you would go like and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. You'll find me at Freedom Enneagram Coaching. You can leave Enneagram questions and comments, and I will do my best to answer them. I am so happy that you're watching and that I get to talk to you about the Enneagram today. All right, so today we're talking about Enneagram Type 1. Now, I'm going to be going through some typical traits and characteristics of the Type 1, but that doesn't mean that every Type 1 will necessarily display that trait. So if you're a 1, or if you think you're a 1, or if you know a Type 1, and some of these things don't match up or resonate, that's okay. The traits and the characteristics may not always match 100% of the time, but pay attention to the core motivations. All right, so once again, I'm going to start with a reference to Marilyn Vancel's great book. It's called Self to Lose and Self to Find. She refers to the Type 1 as a reflection of God's goodness and perfection. Goodness and perfection are what the Type 1 wants, what they want to be, and what they want in the world around them. Type 1s are people who want to be good, right, and correct. They see and feel how things should be. And these high ideals help them to be people who work hard to make things right and just. However, this desire for things to be right and correct can make them hard to deal with. Ones can come off as judgmental and critical. They see when things need to be fixed or when they can be better, and they aren't afraid to tell others what is wrong. Imperfection just leaps out at them, and it can be almost impossible for the one to relax until the problem is pointed out or fixed. The one sees this as helpful behavior because they're just trying to fix what's obviously, to them, wrong. As hard as a Type 1 can be in the world around them, they are much, much harder on themselves. Ones have this inner critic that is always active, always talking, and always telling them how they can improve, what they have done wrong. And this inner critic is relentless and ruthless. So if a Type 1 seems judgmental and overly critical, remember that they are always much harsher towards themselves. A good piece of advice for dealing with and loving a Type 1 is that the more critical they are outwardly, the louder the criticism is that they're hearing inwardly. Okay, again, remember that each Enneagram type is part of a triad. Type 1 is in the body triad. The three types in the body triad all tend to react to the world through their body, through their instincts. They have these gut reactions rather than just thinking through with their thoughts or engaging with their feelings. Now, again, that doesn't mean that body triad types don't think or feel. They just tend to react first. As a part of the body triad, Type 1s deal with anger. But this anger usually comes out as resentment and irritation at others for not caring about things as much as they do. They know that this isn't right. They know that this isn't correct, and they just want to help, and they try so hard, and they care so much. And it seems like the world around them just doesn't. They don't care that it's not done right. They don't care that this isn't well. And that can really build up that anger, but it doesn't come out as, aggressive anger. Usually it comes as resentment. Why can you not care as much as I care? The Type 1 their anger can become aggressive if they're starting to try to control everything and fix all those problems that they see in themselves and in the world. Type 1s believe I am worthy of love and approval when I am perfect, when I'm good, and when I do what's right. Their core fear is not only doing bad or wrong things, but that they are bad or wrong, being bad, being wrong. They fear that they won't be worthy of love if they aren't perfect. So they desire, which is their core desire, to be good, to be right, and to be perfect. They have internalized this message that it's not okay to make mistakes. It's not okay to not be perfect. Now, if you look at a diagram of the Enneagram, type 1 is just to the right of type 9 at the top. It's in the middle of type 9 and type 2. These two types are the 1's wing. So a 1 can be a 1 wing 9 or a 1 wing 2. Again, if you've taken a test or you're talking to someone and they say, I'm a 1 wing 6, either the test was poorly written and incorrect, or the person is confused with how the Enneagram works. The wings, just like on a plane or on a bird, are only on the side of the body, okay? The main type is like the body. The wings are on the side of it. So a 1 can only be a 1 wing 9 or a 1 wing 2. The type 1 wing 9 has both its main type and its dominant wing in the body triad. So they tend to have cooler heads, to be more relaxed and introverted, or more impersonal and disconnected. They want things to be good and right and done the correct way, but they have the type 9's desire for peace and harmony, and this 9 wing tends to temper the judgmental nature and critical nature of the type 1. The type 1 wing 2, on the other hand, has its main type in the body triad and its dominant wing in the heart triad. So they tend to be warmer, more helpful, and more sensitive. They can also be critical and very vocal about it and action-oriented. They want to do things to fix whatever they see needs fixing. They want things to be right. And the passion of the type 2 can make them unafraid to push for it. They also have more of the type 2's desire for relationships. Again, if you look at the diagram of the Enneagram, the type 1 is connected to the type 4 and to the type 7. You can see these lines and arrows. Just go Google Enneagram lines and arrows and you'll see tons of examples. These lines and arrows show how the type 1 changes or accesses the other types in times of stress or in times of health. In stress, the 1 takes on the characteristics of the type 4. They can become angry and resentful that their expectations for how things are done are not met by themselves or by others. And this anger and resentment can turn inward and cause them to sink into this depression because they just see and feel how wrong they are or how wrong the world around them is. In health, the 1 can take on more characteristics of the type 7. They can become much more spontaneous and fun. They become less critical and more accepting of themselves, more accepting of the things around them. Now, the type 1's root sin, or their vice, is anger, which comes out as resentment and judgment. They typically don't have outbursts of anger, but they'll express their anger at their own imperfections or the world's imperfections by becoming judgmental and critical and resentful that others don't try as hard or care as hard. But being angry and resentful and overly critical often causes problems with other people. The type 1 may feel like they're just trying to help. They're just trying to fix something that was glaringly obvious. But the other person is going to feel hurt and attacked by the type 1. So therefore, the type 1s tend to try to keep his or her emotions in tight control. Remember, they want to be good and right. They want to do the right thing, do the correct thing every time. So they want to show the correct, appropriate, acceptable emotions at all times, right? So when an unacceptable emotion comes up, they're going to push it down. They're going to hide it and conceal it and replace it with an opposite reaction. This is their defense mechanism, and it's called reaction formation. For example, if the one is around someone who is better at something than they are, perhaps like playing piano, when they start to feel envious, a bad emotion of this other person's skill and ability, they're going to hide that feeling and they're going to cover it up by praising and celebrating this other person for their abilities. So they play piano, they see their friend playing piano, and their friend is just a lot better than them. And when they start feeling bad that they're not as good as their friend, instead of dealing with that or in a healthy way or ignoring it, and they just push it aside and start to overdo the praise and the, oh my gosh, did you know how good a piano player they are? And so instead of letting themselves feel that feeling, they cover it and they do the opposite. If I could, I want to take a minute and talk directly to any type 1s that are listening. 1, you are good. And you don't have to be perfect. You are worthy of love. I want you to hear that again. You are worthy of love. In fact, God loved you so much that he sent his son Jesus to die for you, for the sins of the world. And you're part of the world, so dying for the sins of the world means you were enough for Jesus to come to die. That's how loved you are. That's how worthy of being loved you are. You are not perfect. And no matter how hard you try, you won't be. The world, because of sin, is bent and broken, and it won't be perfect either until Jesus comes back. So no matter how hard you work to fix it, it won't be perfect. But because of Christ, you don't have to be perfect, because in him, you now have the righteousness of Jesus. We can never be perfect, but Jesus is, and he was perfect. And you can stand in and on his goodness and his perfection. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. I appreciate your time, your attention, and your comments. Make sure to subscribe here, and then go and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Share this video. Go check out the Freedom Enneagram podcast. Share that. Send me your questions. If you want to do some one-on-one or small group coaching, whether that's with a family, with a church, with a school, with a business, anything, you can direct message me on Facebook, on Instagram. You can email me at freedomenneagramcoaching@gmail.com. That's Freedom Enneagram Coaching, all one word. This is Freedom Enneagram Coaching. I'm Brandon Veller, and my goal is to help you discover who you are, uncover who you were meant to be, and to live free.